wait to see you again.
So we need to address the fact that you keep disappearing.
I keep disappearing. We don't have time. Quit with the magic and fight fair!
It's not a fair fight. You know, sometimes I forget that you're one of them. You are one of them. Blows my mind.
You heard it up top. We are going on a multiversal cosmic journey through time as we get wibbly wobbly and discuss season 2 of Marvel's Loki here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin Timely.
I'm burdened by glorious podcast. This is Mikey.
And this is Jacobius.
Nice. How's that jet
Just
ski?
want a jet ski, man. That's all
I was going to
want.
say Miss Jacobitz.
Yes. Yeah, season 2 Loki. Spoilers for the show if you haven't seen it. We'll be getting into it. But yeah, coming around back to the old marvelous Marvel universe, I suppose, for this one. So it's been a minute.
That's right.
Feels like.
The old MCU, as they call it.
Been a minute, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Time.
It's been slipping.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
Yeah, like I don't know if like Ant-Man was the last one, but it's Guardians Volume 3, so that was a long time ago, back in May. So we really have not been back to the Marvel Universe for a while now.
No.
Yes. Of course, the most recent film to come out was The Marvels, which is looking to be one of the biggest box office bombs of all time in terms of like maybe the biggest superhero box office bomb of all time, which is unfortunate.
We mentioned on a what
strikes, you know, you can't promote it. There's a number of factors working against it, you know.
That's true.
We mentioned on a what you before, we skipped covering Secret Invasion because none of us felt incredibly compelled to discuss that either.
Mm-hmm. And I hadn't seen that either.
And I want to ask you guys, like, I know, you know, we've all been having different levels of Marvel fatigue. I've actually been keeping up on some MCU stuff. Like, I did watch Secret Invasion, obviously. As I mentioned before, and I did watch The Marvels recently.
That's right.
So I wanted to ask you guys, have you seen The Marvels? Have you seen any other recent MCU stuff?
Well, I have not seen The Marvels, and I did not watch Secret Invasion or Miss Marvel. I didn't even watch She-Hulk. I've been kind of out. I think the most out. But I was, you know, here for Ant-Man, obviously. But otherwise...
Of course, your favorite.
Which was also mid. But... yeah, I haven't seen it at all. But Colin, have you seen it? And Jacob, I'm curious what your thoughts are on Miss Marvel, The Marvels, because if it's a flop, is it as bad as people would think, or you know, is it all right?
Right.
Colin, what do you think first?
And Mike, you are out of Marvel because you are in the TMA, a place out of Marvel existence and time, the Time Mike Authority.
Marvel Authority.
That's
the
right.
Time Marvel Authority. That's right.
We exist in Baldur's Gate only right now.
Oh, there we go. No time. TikTok.
On the Sword Coast.
Well, to answer your question, yes, I saw The Marvels. Jacob, I know you did as well. I skipped Secret Invasion. I watched that pilot, thought it sucked, and then you famously sent us a video of the final fight of it, and I just assumed it was some sort of prank video or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to Emilia Clarke. Sorry you had to go through that. Yeah, The Marvels. I did see it in theaters last week,
Incredible.
2 weekends ago. And I gotta say, I thought it was fine. I thought it was mid.
Yeah.
Like every recent Marvel movie I've seen, I thought it was like a perfect 2.5 or 3 stars. Did it deserve to be the biggest flop ever? No, I don't think so, because it's definitely not the worst Marvel movie of all time. I wouldn't even say it's like bottom 5, but it was totally enjoyable enough. Like, it was entertaining enough. It didn't last too long. It was like mercifully short, and it pretty much went out of my mind as soon as I left the theater, but I enjoyed it.
A great description of it. I would say it was as good as the ads made it look. And Mike, I assume that's why you did not go and see it, because of the bad marketing.
Yeah. Well, then again, marketing was an issue too, because the actors couldn't promote it. But yeah, the marketing didn't really land. I still wasn't clear like who the antagonist was or what their goals were from the marketing. I don't know what this is about, you know, so I just kind of
I think
wasn't invested.
That's accurate, Colin, because when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this looks, you know, cute and enjoyable to me. So I'll probably, you know, check it out, but I have no like burning desire to see it. And I thought the 3 leads were all great. It's just the material wasn't anything to write home about. It's just very standard. It's not going to do anything that surprises you or anything that's original to the superhero genre or whatever. It's just very, very mid, I would say. It's
My
not
mom
terrible
saw
by
it
any. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and we both agreed when we saw it the first week, like, it was fine, it was fine. Now when she discusses with people, she actively calls it bad. So I also think maybe it's a film that like just does not leave the most pleasant taste in your mouth, because you're like, oh yeah, I guess. But let me point this out, because
that's how I feel about Thor: Love and Thunder,
wow,
Ant-Man. With the exception of Guardians 3, which I thought was really good. I mean, it's been the same thing every time for the last like year and a half. So.
Right.
Let me ask this, because you just listed those, and like Mike said earlier, we've covered those. We did a Guardians 3 episode. We've done other Marvel stuff, but to answer this overwhelming question up top about just superhero fatigue in general. Now, Jacob, you watched the Boys spinoff, Gen V,
yes,
and you're also watching Invincible right now. Mike, you did the same. You didn't do these Marvel things, though. Seems like you're both still a little soup pilled. Like, you guys don't mind superhero content, right?
No.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, all that, the Boys and Invincible are both like critiques of the superhero genre, while also being superhero shows, of course.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't mind
that's a little easier.
The satire of superhero more than the straight
stuff,
stuff, I guess.
It's the thinking man superhero shows, like, they're trying to do something interesting, where it seems like a lot of Marvel content isn't trying to do anything. But the show we're going to talk about maybe is. But like the movies have been just kind of, it feels like a factory. Like they don't feel like they're trying to do anything artistic, or it just feels like a product. I don't feel like anyone's using a voice.
Overwhelmingly, you guys aren't doom and gloom on the entire genre. To ask one last angle of it, looking forward and ahead at a totally different company, to say, like, what is your guys' level of enjoyment or excitement for the last DCEU film? Of course, Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom, or whatever it's called.
Oh, boy.
So he's back.
Man, he's back.
I'll say this.
It's been a while.
I still have not seen Blue Beetle, which is now on
Wow.
Max, so
Okay,
check
so
that out
that's
soon.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, all the recent DC movies have been just bad. I mean, Shazam
But so you
2,
are skipping some superhero stuff, Jacob.
Yeah, really just Blue Beetle, because I've seen all the DC recent stuff too.
But will you see Aquaman?
Probably not in theaters, but eventually when it's on streaming, I'll check it out.
But you saw the Marvels. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah, I went to see the Marvels because I hadn't been to the theater in a long time. And I like going to the theater every once in a while just to see a movie. And I was debating to go see Killers of the Flower Moon, which I do really want to see. But then I was like, do I want to sit in a theater for 3.5 hours or 1 hour and 45 minutes? And I was like, I think the latter. So I chose the Marvels for that reason.
I think your review, it was mercifully short. That should be right on the poster.
Yeah.
I think it should be, Mike. You're right.
It may not be the worst MCU movie ever. It may be the least consequential in terms of like nothing in that happened in that movie like matters in the grand scheme of like the MCU or anything really. Like it just feels like a very throwaway plot. And even the villain is just like it's like a female Ronan the Accuser, basically. There's reusing villains now, essentially. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll see. Well, maybe there'll be some more discussion of what the future could be too at the end of this episode, because what we're about to talk about is consequential to the MCU, and
Sorry, I just want to say one last thing on DC.
For sure.
In terms of the future of DC, I am more optimistic on the DCU that's going to be starting, that James Gunn is sort of heading up. So I'm cautiously more optimistic about that than I am about the future of the MCU. If I can just throw that out there.
As far as major companies, the James Gunn side, and I don't like DC, but I'm more interested in DC now that James Gunn is there, and I'm less interested in Marvel. So
literally just because of him, because he made the best MCU franchise. So I'll
Peacemaker
watch
was good, Suicide Squad was good. So
hell yeah, guys.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Well, Mike, are we going to talk the future of the MCU? Or are we going to talk the past? Or are we going to talk the present? Or are we going to be out of time?
Who knows? I think I guess you're right. It's a timely time to switch over to the main topic of this episode, Loki, High Key. We're talking the God of Mischief, Loki season 2.
slip over.
Slip
To the
on over.
future.
All right.
We're back on Normies Like Us, where we are about to dive in on the divine trickster himself, the god of mischief, the man at the center of all. I'm going to say right now, Loki. We're going to be talking Marvel's Loki season 2. Tons of spoilers, but of course, we're talking the Disney Plus original series. We have an episode on Loki season 1. Go back and check that out too for a deep dive on that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we enjoyed season 1. And, I haven't watched
From
a
what
lot
I
of the other
recall.
Marvel shows, right? But I was excited for season 2 of Loki. And, I'm not even a fan of the character that much, but the first season of the series really made the character a lot more interesting to me. So I was excited for this. But how about you guys?
The only Disney Plus show to get a season 2?
I believe so for Marvel, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. So take yourself back a couple of years ago before all these streaming shows came out, and we had WandaVision all of a sudden, right? And people were like, this show WandaVision's so great. Then we had what is it, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Yes.
which was not as good. And then we had Loki season 1, which I thought of all those streaming shows was the best one. I was a big fan of Loki season 1, and it was a little like Andor, where leading up to it, I was like, I don't care about a Loki show. Like, I have no interest in that.
Right.
But I didn't realize what they were going to be doing kind of with the character and everything.
Very odd pitch, Jacob, that the fact that we had all come from a universe where it's like, okay, Tom Hiddleston appears in Loki, or as Loki in Thor 1, then he's in Thor 2, Thor 3, Avengers 1, Avengers 3 and 4, dies in Endgame. And when you say well, you weren't excited about it, the fact that they were pitching it to us as he is dead, that one's dead, this is about a different Loki. And it was well, I guess how on earth would you even think Mike, what a weird pitch that this company would be look, we got to start getting you invested in variants and all this other stuff. But to say to an audience, all that stuff that you love about the MCU, the very strict continuity, we're kind of going to take somebody who's outside of that and try to make an interesting story about them.
Yeah,
right.
I think it is a fascinating pitch. And just the idea that now everything's a multiverse, and it's kind of, if you go back a couple of years though, this is kind of early in getting audiences used to the idea of that. And I think after Loki season 1, everything is universes now,
Well, we weren't everywhere all at once yet.
No, we certainly were not. And
I think
that had some repercussions too.
That was really the peak of the multiverse era, where you had Spider-Man No Way Home, which a lot of positive reception to that, and they're
Spider-Verse
now.
Spider-Verse,
yeah.
And all the different.
But now
Marvel
it's
universes.
we're at the point where it's almost like multiverse fatigue now. They're
Yes.
kind of over that, which will be interesting for the future of the Avengers movies. And
Well,
stuff.
in the same way that we really discussed in our Last of Us episode of I think I'm tired and done of old white dads protecting young girls. Now I very much feel like I'm let's put multiverses over in that category too. Let's go ahead and slide that away.
Dad
Zombies
content.
was there for a long time. Now I'm kind of back. Mike, the other day I was should I start watching one of these new Walking Dead shows?
Oh, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Michonne and Rick and Michonne.
Daryl's he's still going. Anyway,
that's been 10 years, 12 years, 13 years at this point. But truly, we had this saturated, very concentrated 3 years of what if a multiverse was in every single story? And I think we all agree. Yeah, we are tired of it.
The Flash killed
Batman.
it.
Yeah, the Flash killed it. That's right.
The last time we saw that Aquaman, Jacob, he was drunk outside a bar in a puddle. I'm not happy about that.
I will say,
wow.
I have to admit, I'm kind of getting suckered in by that Aquaman
Yeah.
trailer, where I'm like, oh, Black Manta, interesting villain.
Getting sucked in by Black Manta. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's back.
We'll see.
Cool helmet. I like to think that Justice League Aquaman lives in New Asgard, and he knows Fat Thor. It seems like they would hang out. I want that crossover. Give me that universe.
Play Fortnite together. They absolutely play Fortnite together.
No, they would totally chill. I want that crossover.
I'm the marshmallow guy. Come on, Thor. By the way, we got to get you in the gym, brother.
Glorious headshot, Aquaman.
Yeah, they would.
Fish
they
man.
totally would get along.
My
any
Aquaman
two
is just
crossover
Macho
characters.
Man Randy Savage, by the way.
It's still good. Hell
That's
yeah,
right.
brother. But yeah, it's
The cream
this-
always rises to the top.
Oh my
You ain't
gosh.
going nowhere, Black Manta.
You're going down. All right. So yeah, Marvel.
Loki.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Flash did, however, kill it. It felt like
Yes.
the multiverse, and that
I would
wasn't
agree with that.
mercifully short. Yeah,
I would
'Cause we got a
100%
bunch of
agree with that.
Batman.
It was one of those weird, the
George
primary
Clooney's
thing
back.
being the let's insert all these weird secondary Batman characters and try to sort of like ruin that canon. I would argue the great thing about that Loki season 1 was it didn't ruin anything they established before. You do get the truth of him dying. You do get that completed arc. And
Mhm.
I feel now very associated to this separate variant Loki. In a way that I really did not expect to. I don't know about you guys.
No, I love
It's-
this character now.
Yes.
And I didn't care about Loki whatsoever before season 1. So good job.
Well, it's interesting because he's had basically both his variants have been redeemed in different ways. Because this Loki obviously is the Loki that comes directly from post Avengers 1. So he
Mhm.
never had the character growth that the original Loki had, where he eventually sacrificed himself, died.
That's right, because he
fighting
picks up the
Thanos.
Tesseract. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this Loki's
Um,
like a snidely Whiplash still.
yeah,
He wants
this
to
is
like
villain
tie up
Loki
girls and
from
like put them on
Avengers 1.
railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be like, but like,
Yeah.
no
If he had a
redemption.
mustache, he would twirl it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
really,
right.
has there been? I was trying to think beforehand. Has there been any other character in the MCU that's had more character growth than Loki?
No.
I don't think there has.
I think
You could say
especially
maybe
counting
like
season 2.
Tony
like,
Stark through the 3 Iron Mans or something.
But he has to have the most screen time at this point, I would wonder, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah,
That's an interesting.
He's in the
metric.
most movies.
And now
Nick
he's
Fury.
got a couple hours. Oh, Nick Fury, maybe.
I think Nick Fury
yeah.
has more
Fury,
individual movies,
Jacob.
but less minutes. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But he has an entire Brie Larson movie with that, and then he has a series. But I don't know. I think Tom Hiddleston's Loki, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a character that has this much growth, or at least that it doesn't have an arc that's this interesting. Like the real face turn of a villain. Like that's what we're seeing here. And season 2 is written really well. I think it's the best written Marvel thing I've seen in like 5 to 10 years. I don't know.
Wow.
I like it a lot. But so season 1, we're learning about the TVA and they're protecting timelines. And then it's like, oh, how ethical is this? And he falls in love with himself. He finds Sylvie, a female variant of himself. And all that kind of stuff goes on. And then we discover he who remains at the end of it. Sylvie kills him. And then all the timelines are going bonkers. And he arrives in what he thinks is his universe, and it's not. And that's kind of where we're kicking off season 2. It's like, okay, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. You know me, Mobius. Or, but you
he's
don't.
slipping through time. He's going to different eras.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I will
that
say,
tease
I think
at the end, Mike, the slipping through time sort of thing that we got at the end of season 1, I remember just kind of thinking like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to really like where this is going, if it's just like him in another multiverse of something. So I was kind of surprised how they put it together and kind of wrapped that up in the first episode. But sorry, what were you about to say, Jacob?
Yeah, well, it almost seems like they were resetting everything at the end of season 1.
I was very worried about that. Yes.
I think I like Loki season 1 a little more than Loki season 2. Like I think it's stronger overall, but I think Loki season 2 had a very strong ending and a great way to if this is the last Loki appearance in the MCU, which maybe it won't be, I thought it was a great way to like a great send off for that character. But I thought it did lag a little bit in the middle for me, pacing wise, I guess. So I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes, right? About an hour each. I did it all in one go. I did think it was a little slow, but once the ending started ramping up, I was like, what the ending really is. The payoff is really, really strong. So I was
because again,
just kept
Mike,
going.
you think in that first episode, you're like, this whole thing's gonna be about this time slipping thing. What is it? They're like still wrapping up this other stuff, and then once that's done and it really starts going, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, this does have something it's heading towards, and of course, all the introduction of. We're talking about spoilers, but these characters that are so tied to time loops, like we're introduced to Kei Kwan's incredible character, this time variance authority mechanic, essentially named Ouroboros, which is this continuous circling, concept or whatever that you see that like this show is building. Yes, a Mobius strip.
Yeah, no, and Victor Timely is introduced. It's a lot of it.
This was the other thing I was worried about going in. It was like, how are they going to handle the whole Kang of it all, the He Who Remains of it all?
Mhm.
And of course, knowing the Avengers stuff, which now seems like it's all changing, and they're, firing the writers, doesn't seem like it's going to be as Kang focused as it was. Like it was called
Right,
Avengers
Ant-Man,
Kang
we had a
Dynasty.
we had a
Yes.
council of Kangs introducing Ant-Man,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think for various
And-
reasons, various off the, outside of the movies reasons, they're maybe trying to get away from Kang a little bit.
to bad PRs
Mhm.
potentially.
I wonder
Legal
why, I
proceedings
wonder why.
ongoing, yeah. So,
But the way they
Very
use
interesting.
Yeah, but the way they use this character in this season, I thought worked really well, where they introduced this variant, Victor Timely, who's
Mhm.
not a villain. He's just this kind of this innocent guy who doesn't know, his alter ego, what he's done and all that stuff. So he's just a guy that like wants to help. I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of a smart idea.
Yeah, it's all kind of centered around him because there's different factions who, the TVA is fractured at the end. There's some people who want to put it back together. There's some people, everyone has ulterior motives, and they're all trying to influence Victor Timely because it's like, you have the potential to be what I need if I can just guide you. So people are all trying to kind of get him in their corner so they can take advantage of his skill set,
Yeah.
his knowledge and everything, because
Yeah.
he will eventually become, theoretically as powerful as that,
Yeah, he's in a kind of a bootstrap paradox. He's Renslayer and Miss Minutes have gone off to sort of like make him the new He Who Remains, but really what they don't realize and what we don't realize to the end is that this cycle that he's part of is really doomed to fail in its own
Yeah.
certain way. So
Well,
it's
it's like
just wild. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
recursive loop where he
Yeah. Oh, I
he's
love that.
given the the TVA handbook, which was written by OB, but OB was influenced by Victor Timely in the past. So it's like the chicken and egg thing, like who actually wrote it. They kind
Yeah.
of both wrote it somehow.
Yeah.
Do you, real quick, do you guys like these stories? These kind of time travel-y, really heady, you really got to put everything kind of together. Rules are being explained a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of like paradoxes that happen when you're dealing with time travel. And if you just don't think about it too much, because time travel physically is impossible, I think.
What? Why would you say that?
I mean, you could
But
travel
just in
forward in
reality.
time, but traveling backwards, we haven't quite figured out, perhaps. Like if
That's
you move
true. You can
close
tra-
enough to
I'm
light
moving
speed.
sideways, Mike.
forward in time at a rate of 1-to-1 with natural time.
No. If you're moving close to the speed of light, time
that's
passes
true.
slower for you. So the Earth would age much faster, like theoretically. But whatever, time
Yeah.
travel's not real for
But do you
practical
like
purposes.
time travel media, Mike?
I do. That's why I'm arguing about whether it's possible. Like I do like
I
time
I
will
do
travel.
too. It's just you just have to. Sometimes you can't think about it too hard because there's always going to be
Yes.
like plot holes of like, well, that doesn't actually make sense.
It's
kind of
like
thing.
just tell me
Yes.
what the
The Back
rules
to the
are for
Future
you.
problem.
Like,
Yeah.
is it do we create a new branch, or are we on a single timeline? This feels very much like he's on the same timeline, same
Yeah,
loop.
well, there's
like
the
he doesn't
sacred
create a
timeline.
branch. Right. But
Right.
like in other ones, you time travel, now a new universe is created. But this is like you're on the same track repeating itself. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like butterfly affecting it. You're doing butterfly effect.
This
in
is
Loki.
ripples. Yeah, this is branches and ripples. And,
Yeah. But I do like
Butterflies.
it. I like
Yeah.
and I think this is a clever time travel story. Like I really enjoy, especially the
Yeah.
ending. It's like giving me Interstellar vibes,
The ending was great.
I'm excited for us to talk about that because I would love for you guys to explain what the fuck is going on there. But I'll say the counter is I don't love that stuff because I
Okay.
always do get wrapped up on the rules and stuff. Where I'm like, what is this going on? I like Terminator and things like that, but even those, like when you think about them, I'm like this, like
No.
none of this makes sense.
Well, have
So
you ever
my-
seen the movie Looper, Colin?
I was gonna say my
I have
favorite is Looper, Jacob, because the dialogue that they have where Bruce Willis says, talking about this is bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
let's not even bring it up, is my favorite excuse in a time travel movie to be like, quiet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think that movie handles it the best. Or just
Yes.
something like where you say, yeah, it's Back to the Future rules, basically, and then you can just kind of move on. From
Well, that's what they literally say in Endgame, right?
Right.
Yeah. I
They
think so.
mention a time cop. I mean, they say 500 movies, I think, Mike. They're like,
Well,
is
in the
it this?
Flash,
Is it
they talk
this?
about Back to the Future, and they're like, "Oh, that movie starring Eric Stoltz."
Oh, that's right.
Damn.
You really remember the Flash, Jacob?
Yeah, it's my
I'm like,
favorite movie.
stop.
That Eric Stoltz rip, but that was a really good real life thing that they did though. But
Yes.
yeah, Back to the Future rules, that's the simplest,
Yeah.
rule set.
Yeah.
But it's gotten complicated, like we said, with multiverses and branches. So it can be a little bit much, I think.
Did you guys watch Dark? I think that's probably Netflix's Dark. I think people consider that maybe the best time travel thing.
I've never
I've
seen that.
not.
I heard it was good. There's also this
Okay.
movie called Primer. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, Primer's
It's an
really
older
good.
movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a low budget movie.
Yeah.
It's like the most it's like the most realistic time travel movie, but it's like super complex and like
Yeah.
nobody really understands it because it's so. You just have to watch it.
I mean,
But,
Planet of the
Shane
Apes is the
Carruth.
best time travel movie.
Yes.
To be fair,
Mike.
right? You blew it up, you maniacs.
Absolutely. You maniacs.
That's right.
Yeah, damn dirty ape.
Well, we'll get a new one of those soon. So,
But so I didn't see Everything Everywhere All at Once.
you
but-
didn't see that yet.
No, I've just been missing it. I know I should, because we have OB, coming
That's
back
right.
in this. So, is Loki? If you've seen it, like, how is the time travel? I mean, they're doing universes and Everything Everywhere All at Once, but is there a time travel element
Yeah.
to that as well? Like,
It's more just multiverses and how
Okay.
basically every decision you make in your life makes a branching version of you. So
mhm.
it's like it's basically Michelle Yeoh like going through all the different versions of her. Like in this version, she's like a movie star. In this version,
So
she's a
yeah,
chef.
variants.
You know,
It's a similar kind of vibe.
yeah, but it's less
Okay.
about time
Exactly.
travel. Yeah.
Right. This is
I
literally like we're having a conversation in the past, so we have information for the future. Like they're being very the writing is
Yeah.
pretty clever for Loki season 2, I think.
Yes. And last season we had Tempads. That's primarily how the TVA moved through timelines, but of course they moved through space and time. Doctor Who, Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And the difference here is we're talking about this very specific method called time slipping, which Loki sort of employs to manipulate his body to inhabit a version of himself throughout, any, I guess, point in time that he's ever existed, or I guess maybe even any multiverse or something, or space, or because he
Yes.
jumps to like Columbus, we learn. But I like it. However, I'm never satisfied in my explanation of why he can do it, I guess. And we are told the person who gives him the ability to do it by the end. But again, I'm not positive. Why does he have this ability and when did this occur?
that's a good question. I think something that happened in Loki season 1 that I'm forgetting.
But Sylvie pushes him through the time door and then he can just do it.
Yeah. I
But
don't
he
know.
didn't.
That's a
He
good
doesn't
question. I hadn't
just
thought about
time
it.
slip to get out of the He Who Remains place at the end.
Well, it
Sylvie
seems,
pushes him through that thing after she kills him.
Yeah.
He Who Remains.
It's sort of implied.
HWR R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he's talking to he who remains at the end of this season, it seems it's implied like they're talking about his time slipping and stuff. So it's implied that
he
who
directly
remains can
says-
also do it. Basically,
Well, he
can control.
directly says, "I'm the reason you do this. I
Yes.
gave you the ability to do this." How did
Okay.
when? What is that?
I don't know.
Always.
How, I
Well, that's the
guess.
thing. When doesn't
I
matter.
guess.
Like
Yes.
in
Yeah.
this series.
The whole thing is he
As long
can't.
as it happened
He needs to learn to
sometime.
control it, and
Yeah.
only by controlling
I mean,
it is he able to save it.
conceptually, to what Mike just said, you can think about this entire series and be like, he was always at the center of the universe. Like, it is one of those things where it's like, when did he do it? Always, never, in the future,
Right.
in the past.
Yeah.
It's
It's confusing time travel, timey-wimey. It's timey-wimey. But
Exactly.
Timey-wimey.
And
all time exists at once.
by the way,
yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
if I can just say, Colin, what you're saying, a little show that I was talking about last week that I've been watching called Doctor Who. I feel like this show, Loki, is very Doctor Who. Like it's inspired a lot by things that Doctor Who has done in the past. So I find that interesting.
Have you
That's
looked it up?
cool.
I wouldn't be surprised. You talked about Andrew Garfield. I bet you get a Tom Hiddleston as like Dracula at one point or
Right.
something.
Well,
Dude, right.
It's funny because back in the kind of the heyday of Doctor Who, like the 2010 to like 2013, the Matt Smith era was very popular, David Tennant era. There was this fan base online, right, called Super Wholock, which was specifically fans of Supernatural, Sherlock, and Doctor Who.
Wow.
And I feel like those same fans were also like the big Loki fans back in the day.
Well,
He's
Tom
like
Hiddleston's
another
Loki.
pale British
but-
bad boy.
Yeah.
kinda.
Oh, wow. You're right.
Yes,
The
I think
people
that all
like
spawned from Robert
Benedict
Pattinson.
Cumberbatch
But-
love also Tom Hiddleston. Yeah.
But
Wow, that
Jacob, wouldn't
tracks.
you say culturally, where we are now as a society, that the honor it was in the 2010s for those British actors to be like, you play Santa and you're Nick Frost, you play Santa in an
Yes.
episode of Doctor Who, and you're like, oh, this is a rite of passage for all of us. Don't you feel like that's the equivalent today of you're the Black Knight in the Eternals. You open a comic book and you're like, okay, we got to find you a superhero. You're this person.
Yeah.
By the way, I watched that episode Blink that Mike referenced last week, and do you know who the star of that episode is?
I haven't seen it so long that I don't know.
It's a young Carey Mulligan.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all these British actors before they kind of hit it big.
I mean, Marvel hasn't gotten yet. She'll be the fourth Black Widow, Carey Mulligan. We'll be like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But it's so Tom Hiddleston of it. Bring it back around. I think there is a crossover fan base, and like, if it's not the most screen time, but yeah, he's been playing this character forever, and like, I know a lot of people get tired of it, but he seems like he's really embraced. Like, I'm Loki. That's just my thing, and like, he's really bought in his performances.
And
really
back when he was bad boy Loki, like he definitely had this, I would say, very heavily female. Dominated fan base that was very into Loki. That was like
the character in the comic books. I shared a fan comic with you guys. That let me, I guess, shout out the artist as I pull it up here and talk about it. But the cool thing about that character is it's a very queer coded character that in the comics forever has flipped genders, and I think it's a character anybody can look at and be like, oh, I can relate to that. So Tech Monkey is the name of the artist. And I think that's why when Joe and I went to the premiere of Thor the Dark World, the second Thor movie, at the El Capitan, the Disney Theater in Hollywood, opening night, the first showing they had. Kat Denning was there.
Wow.
But most of the fans were dressed up as Loki, and most of those fans were girls.
Right.
Yes.
Hey.
And he was a bad boy with a heart of gold,
the
trickster god, his complicated relationship with his brother. Yeah.
Supernatural. You're talking about Supernatural. No, I know.
My God.
Oh, wait, what?
I get it now.
Right.
But yeah,
one
then
has
we have
black hair, one has blonde hair. No, I know what you're saying, Jacob.
Yeah. But yeah, like because then we had Sylvie. It's like literally him. It's literally Loki again, and then they're confirming like, oh,
essentially. He's so vain that he falls in love with himself, right?
Yes. Sophie DiMattino, who does an incredible performance in the first season, she's playing this character that in the comics is like Sylvie Lawton, who is the Enchantress. We get a lot of her enchanting things, but instead they make her this variant of Loki. Not really in this season is one of the biggest bummers, I would say. Also, the entire advertising campaign of her working at McDonald's, I really fucking hate.
Oh, yeah. McDonald's is a bit much. Yeah.
McDonald's. I just watched The Killer by David Fincher, and there was a big McDonald's.
What did I say, man? Get this bullshit out of my face. Get this McDonald's bullshit. I hate it. I hate it.
Annoyed with the amount. Well, we're giving him free airtime. Maybe we should move on. But
all she wanted to do was work at a McDonald's in it.
I'll have your squirrel, please. What does she say? She's like, anything that's not squirrel.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because she just did nothing but live in apocalypses.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. You just want to be in the boring Midwest. Like, that's heaven for her,
Yeah, that's true.
It's like Mobius
I forgot
wants
about
to own jet skis. That's all he wants.
Right.
He wants to be a Midwestern dad that sells jet skis.
Now, Jacob, there was something.
Go ahead.
Well, that was set up the first season. Mike, what did you think of the reveal of who Mobius's variant was and what his love of jet skis comes from?
Well, no, I think that's fine. It works great. Like, and I like that his quandary was like he never wanted to know what life was before, but to see he was a jet ski salesman, it's like, heck yeah. It
kind of shows that even if your memory is erased, like you still have whatever is in you that like is drawn to jet skis or whatever hobbies or interests you have in life, that you can be a totally blank slate and still be drawn to those same interests is kind of interesting.
It's that Strange New Worlds episode where your memories erased, but your feelings remain. It's you have something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
No, that's great. So I really like that. And we were all hoping for a jet ski. We were saying at the season finale, he better get a jet ski, and he didn't.
Well, what did you guys think about him living in 2020 Cleveland, Ohio? Is that what it was? That's too
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fits him very well. I think.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and it's just a guy who got some jet skis. Just dad guy. He's just dad guy.
Yeah.
PVA? No, you mean ATV? Yeah. No, we got 2 upstairs. Let me go check.
I feel like if Owen Wilson wasn't a famous actor, that's like what he would be doing probably. So
he'd be a weatherman or something. He'd always have the charisma.
Yeah. That's true.
He's my guy.
We're getting a cold front rolling in.
Love him.
Wow.
Wow. Look at that rain, Mater.
That's a great casting too. Like from season one,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the chemistry with Mobius and Loki in
Yes.
this, Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson is excellent. I think it carries the show. Their friendship kind of growing and having to rebuild it from scratch in the beginning of this season was really
Totally.
carried the early episodes for me. Was just those kind of scenes.
And yeah, even more than the Sylvie Loki relationship, I really like the Loki almost said Mobius
Yeah, I know,
relationship.
Don't say it 4 more times.
Am I pitching you guys my Morbius sequel? Morbius, or Morpheus,
Morbius.
Farewell to the Flesh.
Dang, that's actually, I was gonna see that one.
But yeah, I think Owen Wilson is just an actor that, number one, I never thought would be in the MCU. It's like an interesting way for him to be in the MCU.
Basically
and
an office worker.
Yeah, normal guy, not a
Normal guy.
superhero.
Right. But also he's just one of those actors that anytime he pops up in anything, I'm just like happy to see him. I'm like, hell yeah, Owen Wilson's in this. Love it. You know?
Right.
You guys fucking
Great guy.
dragged that Haunted Mansions movie. How fucking dare you?
No,
You know
I
I
like the
stand this
casting.
guy.
Yeah.
Anything he
Right.
does. Anything
Likeable
he does.
cast, but bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin, how do you feel about at the end of season one, like there was a lot of people who were like shipping the Sylvie Loki thing and they betrayed him, like, oh, are they going to get together? I think for 2.5 minutes of my life, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I'm really glad that they did not do that.
Yeah.
No,
They didn't ship it.
well, the narrative payoff for them is obviously they get very different lives, like no
Right.
chance to ever be together, and one has glorious purpose and one has embraced maybe
And one works
normality.
at McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's a glorious purpose.
it is. It is to whip out those quarter pounders. But I
Mhm.
agree with Jacob, where I really think maybe the strongest scene of this season was the time slip reversion to the pilot, where you go back to the Mobius interrogation between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, where again the chemistry is just so palpable. I just really don't think they gave Sylvie anything to do. Like a lot of people have talked about the spaghetti scene, Mike, where the world is just disappearing around her in that record store.
Yeah.
But that to me, that's just so special effects driven. I'll never look at that as a scene where it's like so palpable and the chemistry is just like, and the acting is so strong.
Right.
She definitely had less to do this season, but I feel like she had more of an arc already in the first season. So maybe she's already, like, she kind of stays the same character that she was at the end of the season one.
Maybe the most powerful thing she says is her entire speech of like, I will not give you permission to kill me to save the universe. You are not saving a universe if we are under the thumb of someone who controls our actions. That is not freedom, and I will not die for, fascistic control. And it's like,
And she
good for you.
Right.
Yeah, and she won't change her mind on killing
No.
Who Remains. And
Why
nothing
would
Loki
she?
can say can convince her. Yeah.
I am right. Even if the world explodes, she's like a hardline, like libertarian. She's like, no, it's like, it is what it is. And like, whatever the fallout is. And you're like, but we're all literally dying.
The Spock is trying, like, but the needs of the many, Sylvie. And she's like, I don't care.
No,
she's
like,
care.
that's so true, Mike. She's like, get out of here, Spock.
Trillion to one. Yeah. She's like, I don't care.
Yeah. I would say, I thought there was at times, like I said, pacing issues in this season in the middle, but I think the last episode was like as perfect as it could have been to me. Like I thought it was a perfect wrap up of the character. Like that whole last episode I thought was just fantastic.
I think the last two were incredible.
Yeah.
I guess to set up because the whole show, obviously, if you've seen it, listeners, it's time travel shenanigans. But the point is the astral loom is breaking apart and it can't handle all the different threads. So they're going to get Victor Timely, who invented the loom, or this kind of stuff. So they're trying to figure out how to keep the
make the
timelines
rings
together.
bigger.
Right.
Yeah, the temporal loom, they need to expand it because of all the new timelines that have been created, because they're not trimming the timelines anymore.
I didn't factor for infinity. No.
Right.
Yeah, it's a scaling problem. You can't
it's a scaling
scale
problem. That's what he told you, Jacob? It's a scaling problem? That's what Victor told you? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What an idiot. Yeah. But no, so pacing wise, I thought in the middle, like the Chicago episode, it was fun, but at the same time, I think the problem is there's a lot of like twists and turns and red herrings throughout the season that ultimately don't matter that much. And it seems like it spends a lot of time on these kind of red herrings. Like the whole Chicago thing, it just felt a little drawn out with Miss Minutes and Renslayer like betraying each other and that kind of thing. Like
Oh,
ultimately,
yeah.
none of it really matters. In the
Yeah,
end, 'cause-
Renslayer and Miss Minutes really, they did not have much of an impact on me.
Yeah.
They were just kind of
I
there.
mean, I liked
yeah.
some of what they did with Renslayer and He Who Remains. Like
I like that
they're
actor
kinda
guy a lot
revealing-
more.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
TVA guy who goes to be an actor, I liked him a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Raoul.
And he's the one who pushes
yeah, whatever
Loki.
that guy's name is. Yeah.
that guy
yeah,
was
he-
great. Yeah.
He's like, you're just being a selfish asshole. Like that guy
Yeah.
is an asshole, but he made Loki kind of rethink his shit. I like that character a
Yeah.
lot.
But he just wants to be a human living on the timeline, living normal life
Of
as
course.
an actor in the 70s.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yeah.
a job for eternity? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so we realized that, killing He Who Remains, that's what's caused all this to happen. So either we keep him alive so we won't do that, right? So then now that's our thing. But the whole series when Loki's like, how long is it going to take me to learn everything about quantum physics? And like he just spends hundreds of fucking
Centuries.
years,
Yeah.
But
centuries. Like
The
I like that
scaling
idea.
when Obi and Victor just say like, well, it would take years. He's like, no, I mean, it would take decades. He's like, centuries. And
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
you get Tom Hiddleston mugging, breaking the fourth wall to the camera. Cut to, he knows everything.
But I like this
Mhm.
because it's very
Horrifying.
Groundhog Day, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Do you guys
repeating
like
the same thing over and
time
over.
loop media? Yeah.
Yeah, and the scene
Yeah.
where they're, trying, where he's like, all right, we need to do it faster, 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 and he keeps trying to adjust that scene where Victor Timely's going to go out and do the thing. That's a great scene, and then ultimately it doesn't matter because it's like it never would have worked anyways. And that's kind of
Yep.
the ultimate kind of sad thing about it, right?
But I love the ramp up of that. And I don't know how, I don't want to, like, if we're getting close to the end ish, like, of discussing what happens here, but like,
Right.
it's either you can't stop Sylvie, so he doesn't want to kill Sylvie. She won't let him give him
Yeah,
permission.
it's either kill
There's-
Sylvie, let the universe die, or like a secret third thing that he has to figure out.
And I'm
Right.
sorry, but we should say, because I really struggled with this, and I want to hear the rest of that explanation, Mike. But the stakes are, and because I kept constantly being like, just let it blow up and everybody leave the TVA. Like, who the fuck cares? Let all timelines go. No, it's in fact the loom is sort of a bomb that will always reset everything back to the sum of zero, that same main timeline, which whatever. But also the stakes are Loki doesn't want to do that because, again, he is so afraid of the threat of the army of Kangs across the multiverse crossing over and killing everyone. Because I kept
Yeah.
forgetting that he was aware of that.
And
Yeah.
also, ultimately, what it comes down to is a very human thing where he has friends for like the first
Yeah.
time in his life, and he doesn't want
Well,
to
that's
lose
what he
his
learns.
friends,
The power
right?
of friendship is the secret is time slipping.
Mhm.
I want to
Yeah.
see my friends. Okay,
Yep.
well, great.
Right.
No,
My
that
friends
is,
OB and Mobius and Victor
Yeah.
Timely and
yeah,
all my friends.
I want to kiss
Yeah.
myself as a woman.
right. But then it's also great that he understands too. Like she won't stop because it's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't either. Like if I really believed in this, like I get it.
Yeah, it's
like,
a very low-key thing. Like
yeah. It's
the
like
burden
okay,
of glorious
I'm
purpose.
him.
Yeah.
But should we discuss the ending of this, the glorious purpose? Like, because he's always
Please
been
do.
saying that he's always wanted the throne.
Amazing,
And
yes, that they
so this is incredible.
tied
Like,
that in at the end. Yeah.
yeah. So what the decision he has to make is to stop being selfish. He wanted a throne before for his selfish reasons. He wanted power selfishly, and now he has the chance to do something selfless. And I think this is really why this is like the best written character. in the MCU.
Absolutely.
But what do you think about
And
this?
essentially, he's like, okay, the loom is going to be destroyed no matter what. I will become the loom, and I will be the
So,
caretaker of all timelines.
how?
It's a
and
looming threat.
what is all
we have
this?
a looming threat.
Loki magic.
So let's shout out these guys, Benson and Moorhead, who are these two directors who I guess are known for this incredibly visual, again, timey-wimey, I hate to keep using that saying that people have co-opted, style. They did Moon Knight. I don't know if you guys know that. They did with Abu, I can't remember the guy's first name, Muhammad
Oscar
Abi,
Isaac.
maybe? That's right. Who directed half the season, and then they directed, I think, maybe 2 episodes or something like that. Here they're coming in, and I think they did like 4 episodes of the 6 we get of Loki. So really
Wow.
being the primary showrunners here. And they made a film called Synchronicity, which is a time loop film as well. That's pretty good.
Sure.
Or I'm sorry, Synchronic.
Oh.
Yeah. So they're known for their wild conceptual visuals where it's like, you see these god strands and stuff in their other media. So they really, I saw these reviews that were like, in the Loki finale, Benson and Moorhead just get to go off on their style. But so Loki exits this place that is getting so irradiated with, let's just call it chronotons or, time.
Temporal
molecules.
radiation.
Temporal radiation. I think
temporal
that is what
radiation. That's a Star Trek term. Nice.
How dare you?
Just throw temporal in front of anything.
Yeah.
So that I guess and the reason that Victor keeps just, exploding is that it's he just can't exist with that much time hitting him or whatever, spaghettifying. But Loki seems like just steps out. The loom, he dismantles it, which again is this sort of center point that is refining just all of existence into threads that, go on forever. And then Loki is breaking that machine, grabbing those threads himself and sort of tethering them to himself.
Well, I think it's
what is this? How is he doing this? And I should also point out, the people watching him is what gets me the most, because Sylvie and Mobius are like, wow, he's doing it. And it's like, conceptually, what are they observing? Because he's grabbing all of existence with his hands.
It's something that I think
out of time and space.
You can't think about too literally, because it's just very comic booky. He's just doing this.
It's very comic
book. It just makes sense. And he's an Asgardian god, so I guess that gives him the powers to do certain things. But ultimately,
to be the center of existence is what
all
he has the ability
existence.
To do. Because I wouldn't be worried about Kang coming through and fighting us if I could conceptually basically mold and grab reality, I guess.
He couldn't do that until he had friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's too selfish. Well, that's the thing, is his character growth is that he would have been too selfish as the old Loki to ever consider doing something like that. But after changing so much and learning and growing and learning the power of friendship, he's like, I will sacrifice my life to be the caretaker of timelines for eternity, essentially.
Right. So visually,
and finally
it's pretty crazy.
My throne that I've always wanted, right? Wear my horned helmet that I love. But
in the sense of that, literally what I think was a place, the place at the end of time, which is where HWR lived. He had a castle there. Loki has dismantled that again. I assume he's the largest creature in existence, because again, he's just grabbing these things. And now it has been reformed to just one throne, literally at the center of the world. And then he has rewritten and reroped and reworked the fabrics of time into, I'm sure you guys have seen all this writing, Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life in Norse mythology. So it is not a loom. He sits at the center of a tree. The universe can grow now. Is that what's going on?
He becomes the three-eyed raven from
okay, wow. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sure. Incredible, Paul.
No, it seems crazy. Literally every universal timeline ever that could possibly exist is tethered to single Loki, right? That is heady, but like Jacob was saying, no, I love that it's he has to do something selfless, and that's what's so powerful. The metaphor of it is give up everything you want, your friends and stuff. That's what it would take. You don't get to be with Sylvie. You don't get to be with Mobius. You have to be alone forever. And that's the right thing to do, and to make that correct choice. That's really cool.
Which
100%.
HWR used through a machine, but Loki is just inherently using through magic or something, which I'm totally fine with. I absolutely accept that. Okay.
God Loki,
Let me ask you guys
heart, the power of his heart grew 3 times that day, and it allowed him to harness the universe.
It is green, Mike.
Yeah.
And
Loki saved
are you guys sad though that we didn't see the other Lokis again this season that we saw in season 1?
I would have loved. Well, I almost again wondered if he would be aging as he went out there. I kind of thought maybe we'd see Richard E. Grant, but I would have killed to see my little gator boy.
Yeah, why can't that one sit on the throne?
Yeah. And I'll just leave here. Mike, can Loki be a mensch? Can I call him when Secret Wars comes up and say, hey, buddy, can you pinch or prune a couple of those timelines that have a couple Kangs in them? And can we just file those away and leave everything else?
I don't think he would do that. I would think his stance now is pure let the universes live like Sylvie wanted.
Balance.
It will be no interference from anybody, I don't know.
Basically by
how much
this
power does he
sacrifice.
have? Yeah, over all universes. That's an interesting question I didn't think about.
And is he just the prime Loki? Like he's the Lokiest Loki of all the Lokis, which is why he has
High key, yes.
high key.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it turns
He's the
out
luckiest
ours was
Loki.
kind of a loser. It turns out like the one we were following was
Yeah.
like he just died. He was a little scrub.
Well, he had a
Well, 'cause-
similar arc in that he eventually realized, like, oh, I need to be selfless, and
yeah,
ultimately sacrifice himself for his brother, who he, deep down loved, right? But ultimately,
Yeah.
his sacrifice didn't mean anything because he just died to Thanos. I guess it distracted Thanos long enough for Thor to get away or whatever. I don't really remember.
Eventually, through some other time
don't
travel
remember.
shenanigans, they eventually got Thanos, But
yeah.
Yeah.
this is the most powerful Loki for sure. He just needed to sit out of time for a couple centuries and learn everything. It took him a couple centuries to learn a life lesson to not be a dick.
Yeah. Are any of you guys bugged that is a repeat of the climax of the first Doctor Strange film, which of course ends with him locking him and Dormammu in a time loop until he gets him out. Yeah, classic.
Oh yeah.
Again, there's been Doctor Who plots that are very similar to this as well, but yeah.
What can you
Star
do?
Treks that have been cause and effect that have been very similar to this too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, Groundhog Day. Like, did Bill Murray spend longer in Groundhog Day, or did Loki spend longer learning physics?
Right.
I think someone calculated one time how much time Bill Murray actually spent on that day in Groundhog Day, just trying to like woo, his love interest in that movie and stuff.
My thing about time loop media is if you take away the anxiety from me that I will never die, keep me in that time loop forever, Doc. Like it means I will.
There's that montage of him
never grow old,
committing suicide in different ways.
And guess what? I will never reach that point. I will never get sick enough where I'm like, turn the lights off. It's okay. I'm ready to go. No, keep me in that loop.
It's a form of purgatory, essentially, because you're just stuck on the same day doing the same things over and over.
Books exist. Yeah, there are ways to make every day different, dog. I don't want to hear it.
You can
Netflix.
Slowly learn every language.
Learn every language. It's like, come on.
Yeah, because once you read all the books in English, there's all the other books in other languages.
Yes.
And all the other movies. And
But the hard thing for him in that movie is that he meets this girl, right? And he was trying to, he falls in love with her, but it's like a 51st dates thing where she doesn't remember him in the morning of each day, and he has to like try to woo her all over again.
51st Dates is a practical time loop movie. That's very interesting.
Wow.
Well, essentially losing your memory
all happened to us. Yeah, it is. It is practical.
Losing your memory is the same thing as being stuck in a time loop, essentially.
I don't like that. I don't like
that.
No, knock on wood, it never happens to me.
We used to call, like, if if you ever have partied too much, it's like, whoa, you wake up the next day, it's like, did I time travel? Like, where am I?
Really
time travel, but you lose memories. But yeah, man, the old Loki, he's super powerful now, but I just liked his arc of like, yep, you're going to be completely alone forever, but it's going to be helping literally every single one you've cared about ever, and even people you don't know. Like, it's just a selfless
act. This is the same
really
Loki
for me.
That was sending aliens to attack New York.
And I like how he mentions that too. He's like, I was just upset with my brother. Like, what was I thinking?
We've all had bad days. He says that to Bubba's while they're eating pies. Trust me, I feel ridiculous. Now, here's a question here as we're kind of wrapping up our thoughts on it. But let's say about this character. Now, Michael Waldron, who wrote the first season of Loki, he's a Rick and Morty writer. And of course, he wrote the film we all absolutely adore, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a 10 out of 10 perfect Marvel film.
Wow.
Sure.
Now,
that's the one I totally forgot about. Yeah.
Well, I guess, and then Kang's Wars or whatever the other Avengers films is, there's these other opportunities, I guess, I'm setting up to ask you guys. Will we ever see this center of the universe super god Loki ever again? Or is that it? And Jacob said up top, will we ever see Tom Hiddleston again? Is this it for this guy who has spent, I believe, 14 years in this property?
I think we will, and because the way that it's been, what I've seen in the media and stuff, what they've been saying, like at first they're like, yeah, it's a great wrap up to this character. But then I think Tom Hiddleston did say, like, I would be surprised if we didn't see Loki again in the future at some point or something like that. And I think it will tie into the next, whatever the next Avengers movie ends up being. I think he will somehow tie into that.
Everyone will teleport to him on that little throne and he'll be like, hello.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see like a scene between him and Thor to get some
Yes.
closure on that, you know? Like that would be
Yes.
nice.
I'm so
Um,
glad you're still out there. You know, like even if
Yeah.
you weren't with me, like God, you know, I thought you were gone. Like that would mean so much and be
And for Thor to see what he's kind of become and stuff, like yeah, I think that
like
would
a
be pretty.
dad.
brother.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
were saying what Thor's. You sent some stuff earlier from Thor: Love and Thunder where truly I was like, I've only seen that film once. I've never thought about
Yeah.
it again. I have almost no memory of that
No,
movie.
Thor has a giant Rip Loki
No.
tattoo on his back.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
no, he does not.
Yep.
No,
People forget about
no.
that.
He got it
The
after
joke
Bender
that
with
he
Aquaman.
is. Well,
They're out late one night. He's crying about his
Well,
brother, and they got tattoos.
that's where Aquaman got that like chain metally thing that he has on his arm. But
Yeah.
if I'm recalling that the last time I saw Chris Hemsworth, I was very disappointed, then I do really think that one of the only satisfying things left maybe the Marvel franchise could give me is maybe a reunion between those two characters. I would love to see that now that you guys are pitching that.
Dang.
I think he will. Yeah, and I think he'll tie into the whatever the
The
Avengers ends up being.
solution. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you've been reading behind the scenes what's going on with Marvel right now, they're in sort of a period of change right now where there really seems like they're changing up what they're doing in the future due to poor reaction to a bunch of projects recently and stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
what was Avengers Kang Dynasty may now not be called that anymore and may not be Kang focused. And also Jeff Loveness was writing that, who was another Rick and Morty guy who wrote Quantumania. He
Yeah,
has
that
now
movie was-
left the Avengers project. So
Quantumania, 10 out of 10 film. We all loved it.
Mhm.
yeah. So it really seems like, I mean, the MCU, they've always been winging it since the beginning. Like they'll change stuff on the fly and it just looks like it was structured
Yeah.
in hindsight, but really like Thanos was never even like the way Thanos was introduced was totally different than what he ended up being and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think they could go some direction where Loki will fit into the next Avengers movie somehow.
And
Yeah.
just to what you said about the maybe pivoting away from Kang thing. Obviously, the way I feel, get this guy out of here. I don't even like these arguments where everybody's like, he's such a good actor. Sure. I thought Victor Time was very interesting. But almost to the thing you were saying, Jacob, of like the PR of it all, they almost use it of like, you want to hate this guy so bad, you're expecting him to be a villain by the end that you really are very surprised that Victor Timely is like a nice, good guy. You're like, wow, that's fascinating. But
Gotta be
my
brave,
opinion
yeah.
is, and I'm curious about you guys too, do you ditch this? Or in my opinion, just recast. Just recast. What is going on here? Just recast.
Well, again,
Hmm.
I think the way this show ends, it would be very easy to pivot away from him,
Yeah.
which is interesting because there was that report a few months ago about some behind the scenes Marvel stuff where some unnamed source was like, I've seen the end of Loki season 2 and it makes it very difficult to get away from Kang. But that's actually the total opposite. So I don't know what they were talking about.
So we get the line Hunter B15 or whatever her name is says like Mobius. So, like the last line basically for them in the TVA is like, so like, are you like, we learned that the TVA now that Loki is in control of everything will be centered on keeping an eye on Kang variants, not controlling, branching timelines.
Mhm.
And the Hunter says, oh, did you get that report on like that Mobius on the 616 adjacent? He's like, he's all taken care of. So to that, Jacob, you feel like, well, then he is done. Like it's over. Like you just said it is. That's crazy.
That's the thing is it's kind of open-ended where if they needed to pivot away from Kang, they easily could.
Yeah.
And again, they could just recast. I mean, every Kang variant that we've seen so far was played by the same actor. But of course, they could get like Coleman Domingo or someone and be like,
they get an alligator.
It's a different variant.
Yeah, you're right. If Loki can be an alligator, Kang could be anything
Loki
in
can
other
be a
universe
woman.
too.
Yeah.
He could be a blonde woman. Yeah. Like fucking, they should get Gugu Mbatha Raw because I did not like how they left Renslayer Mike, where I guess she's just dumped at the end of the time and maybe she's about to fight Abeloth or whatever that thing was called from season 1.
Renslayer, I feel like they did drop the ball on her a little bit because she's an interesting character, but it seems like they just didn't know what to do with her after the Chicago stuff. It's like, well, I don't know. She's just like a bad guy. Same thing with Miss Minutes is like, oh, she's like an evil AI, I guess, that's in love with
reprogrammer. And
Well,
it's like,
it was
this is
built
wrapped
by-
up. And they're like, it's wrapped up. And you're like, really? They're like, really?
Right.
She's Ex Machina, but
Yeah.
Yes.
but a clock.
I do
Tara
like when
Strong,
she's like,
who got fired. Very
Oh,
interesting.
Hair strong, yes, for
Got some stuff going on.
2-year-old
Like most of the
Palestine stuff.
people in the Loki cast, I
Right.
guess.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
But I agree with Jacob. You could pivot away from Kang or recast. I like the character, the idea of the character that's like, I'm so smart that I'm dangerous everywhere. Like when Loki reacts to seeing Victor Timely and Mobius is like, what are you talking about? This guy looks like a buffoon. But Tom Hiddleston's like fear is like very real. I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Because Victor
But-
Timely has the potential to be He Who
Yes.
Remains. He just grew up in a different environment, so he's not like a totally bad guy, but he's as smart as any of the other variants if he just has the education
Exactly.
and the knowledge or whatever.
And in
right, with the
some
manual.
universes, they're like Reed Richards is basically, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Son of
He's
Reed
related.
Richards?
He's Nathan Richards' son, so he's Reed Richards'
Ah.
grandson.
Yeah,
Sometimes he's
so-
Iron Man.
Yeah,
Like,
it's different universes,
I'll be honest
yeah.
with you guys. Yeah, like
I think
it
everything is
sucks.
possible in
So with
the
Fantastic
MCU.
Four, you could do something related to this
Yeah,
is why it
Pedro
can be
Pascal.
different now.
Breaking news: Pedro
Pedro
Pascal,
Pascal
as
fighting Jonathan Majors. Did you want to see that, Jacob?
no,
really.
not really. Honestly, I love Pedro Pascal. Didn't love the Reed Richards casting. I feel like
No.
because I don't like the Reed Richards character, and I feel
You're
like
so
Pedro
pro
Pascal
John
could-
Krasinski.
Yeah, he nailed that cameo.
we got it. We got what we asked for. Good job, fans.
I don't even think he stretches in that movie. I think he teleports in and he's like, "Hi, I'm Reed Richards, the smartest man in the world." Everybody's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it should have
I'm
been
glad that universe
guy,
got pruned.
Me
Stephen
too.
Stephen Harper Jackson or whatever. Is that his
What?
name?
Yes, for Chidi from
The
what's
Good
whatever
Place.
that's called, The Good Place. Thank you. Yeah,
Who was
Hmm.
in
Jackson.
Quantumania
Yeah,
as a different character, but
Right.
he would be
Yeah.
a great Reed Richards, I thought.
Dang, yeah, you're right. He would have been.
And of course,
Yeah.
the actors have played multiple roles in the MCU before, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's true. I don't know. That's why it's multiverse, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Loki,
Shall
I
we?
guess, season 2, thought it was very good, interesting for what might come next. So maybe we can get over to final thoughts, discuss this a little bit more, and kind of wrap up all the multiversal, universal timelines and sit on this chair forever. Catch you on the other side, Normies.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we are wrapping. Sorry, I'm in a loop. We are wrapping it up. Talking Loki season 2, Marvel's Disney Plus original series, which I guess again, first one to get a season 2 won't get a season 3, right?
Please, no.
No, it seems like a limited series type, seems like this is a good wrap up.
You can't
Yeah.
do season 3. What does he do? Just sit there? Like, you can't bring him back out of the universe.
Well,
he
it's
has
like-
to stay there
it's-
forever.
Called Loki season 3, Mike, but it's like The Office, but it's set at the TVA. Like it's Mobius being like, today I went and saw my kids on that timeline, but now
If
I'm back filing paperwork.
Right?
Yeah, if we could get a TVA spin-off where it's Mobius and OB.
AC, whatever Eugene Cadero's character was.
Oh,
named.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Casey.
You've read the handbook? I
That would be
memorized
fun.
it.
But yeah, it wouldn't be Loki season
It's on
3.
every one of our desks.
Yeah.
But like that show is a spin-off of Hawkeye, so
Yeah.
Well, we have
yeah,
Agents
yeah.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. It'll just be the TVA, like Agents of Time
Yeah.
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
it, but definitely.
I guess that's what they are going forward, Mike. That's interesting. They're like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for time.
yeah.
again, very Doctor Who, very Torchwood right there.
I was about to say it's that one you told us about. It's the spinoff.
That's right.
And Colin, you said earlier we were talking about the time travel. It's like all present, past, and future, all time exists at the same time, kind of thing. Like that's where the TVA is, and like when
The
people
TVA exists
discuss-
outside of time.
right? So like the fourth dimension is considered out of time, right? So we have
Yeah.
our 3 dimensions. The fourth is time, where like
Right.
we experience it linearly, but outside of that, everything would happen at the same time, and that's kind of
Which is like how was he time slipping within the TVA? Because how can you travel through time in a place
You're
that
not supposed-
exists without
wow.
time?
Obi says you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's impossible.
It's impossible. I loved his
I love-
character. We haven't
I
said
love
enough about
K-Quan.
Obi.
Yes,
He was
real
so
quick,
good.
right at the end here. K-Quan is a delight in this series.
He
Yeah.
was.
And
he
the
was
reveal,
great.
I'll say the funniest
skin's
line
gonna
in the
peel off.
entire show is the one where they go to see their lives, and it's that's the get the band back together episode. But they get split up, and then Obi comes back to him and comes through a janky temp pad that he made. And Loki's like, "You did that so quick," and he's like, "It took me 18 months." Well, 17, but then another one because my wife left me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
man.
like a
Yeah.
failed sci-fi writer.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a
yeah.
physicist, and Loki's like, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
That's
so
funny.
great. Yeah, we need
Very
him in
good.
everything.
And I did
Give him a
see,
spinoff for Indiana Jones, you idiots.
Anything.
Well,
anything.
I saw an interview with him and he said the next thing he wants to do is be in the Star Wars cinematic universe.
Oh.
So he wants
Well, I
a
just
Star
gotta
Wars.
walk to the next soundstage
Don't do a
over.
droid. Make him a dude. Put
Yeah, make
put
him a
him in it.
dude.
Yeah, make him a dude.
Sure.
Dang. Yeah, he's great.
Wow.
It's good that
Give
he's
him
returned to
whatever he
acting.
wants.
Everyone's
Yes.
happy to see him. He's doing great.
Yes, everybody everywhere is very
Yeah.
excited. Well, let me ask you this, guys, because it was our big question up top. We were talking about the state of Marvel, all that jazz, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is kind of being considered a very quick win for them. And then I don't know if you guys saw it, but the episode 1 was super down from the first season premiere of Loki. So not everybody tuned back in right away. But the final numbers it ended up was like the most watched thing on Disney Plus or whatever dumbass statistic they dropped. The most seconds
I think
streamed or some bullshit.
Word of mouth probably helped him on the finale.
Yes.
People are like, oh, amazing finale. You got to watch this. Yeah.
But to come out the same week, and we should also shout out the same week that Tom Hiddleston's wife, or maybe partner, Zawe Ashton,
I
is
think they're
literally
engaged.
incredible, but the villain of the Marvels. So the same
Yes.
Friday his finale airs, or Thursday night, her movie premieres that she's a part of in Marvel. That's fascinating. But to have that that loss of everybody announcing now, Marvel's is going to be the biggest flop of a superhero property of all time. I think everybody very quickly was to point out, like, you just need to do more stuff like Loki. We're all really excited about Loki. Loki nailed it. Jacob, you keep saying maybe the whole season wasn't great, but people loved that finale. So I throw it to you guys. Have you been reinvigorated just from watching this? Like, does it make you feel a little bit better about how Marvel's going, or no?
It's like that meme that you shared, right? There's one project, it's like the MCU is dead. A good project, the MCU is back. A bad project, the MCU is dead.
Yep.
A good project, the MCU is back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that, one, A to B to A to B like that, but because I think mostly it's been mid, pretty good, mid, kind of bad, mid, good.
Well, your overwhelming theory is people are overreacting. It's all just tepid fine, Jacob, right? You're totally like, it's just mid across the board. That's the prime timeline for you, is all Marvel is mid.
Yes, that's the sacred timeline. Because everyone is so divided. Like, you're either an MCU super
the worst
fan
ever,
or you're a hater.
Yeah.
And I'm just in the middle, like, yeah, that movie was perfectly fine. Like, it was nothing special. It wasn't terrible. It was totally enjoyable.
To go back to our metaphor, it's like a quarter pounder from McDonald's. It's never going to be the best burger you've ever had, but it's
right.
Good. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Occasionally you'll get a really well done one. Occasionally get a really shitty one. Mostly you're just going to get a perfectly fine one.
Yeah, sometimes you open it up and it's a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other times you're like, wait, there's no fries in here, you bastards.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I said no ketchup, and there's ketchup on it.
You motherfucker, the pickle's on here.
Yeah. So great metaphors for that. But yeah, I think.
How about you, Mike? Does this inspire you to go, oh, I'll watch the Marvels when it's on Disney Plus? Or are you just like, look, Loki was my guy, I'm done otherwise?
Nope. I'm pretty much like, I'm trying to think of, besides this, what the last like really good Marvel thing, like something that I would
Guardians 3.
Yeah, Guardians 3. But other than that, it's like the creative
I'm not as hot on that as everybody else is.
Really?
I liked it a lot.
That's not my favorite Guardians movie, but it's definitely my favorite MCU movie that's come out in the past several years, I would say.
Yeah. So it has to do with like the creative teams going forward. Like you said, they don't really have a plan now. We don't know what they're going to do with Kang or not Kang, but he who should not be Kanged. But I just like this series. Yeah, it's like Andor. Like, I didn't expect to like it, and I was really surprised, and I think the writing's really strong, and this is enough for me. Like, I'm not more excited for Marvel. I'm just happy that this was good.
Yeah.
And
I think the
time
only
will tell. Ooh, time.
The sad thing to me about the Marvels is just that it's become this whole culture war thing where you have this certain group of like YouTubers and people that are like, well, obviously it failed because it's,
There's
3 female leads. It's a female
right.
director. And so I was like, no, that's why I wanted to be a hit just because of that, even though like it was totally fine. Like, it's not the worst Marvel movie ever made, and that's
Fucking
not the reason
Donald
why
Trump
it's
went on
bad.
a rant about like Ike Perlmutter needs to be like the president again of like Disney because he's like the Marvels failed. You're like, oh god damn it.
Yeah, man. The whole thing. It's like they just give them shit for their straw man argument. So it is frustrating when things
Do you guys
don't.
remember
Yeah.
when Captain Marvel, the first one, came out? It was opened against Alita Battle Angel, and all the incels were like, "Now there's a real woman."
Right. Which, you know, we like that movie, Alita.
I
I
Battle
like
love
Angel.
that
Alita.
movie.
Yeah,
It's
they're getting a
great.
sequel, I think.
And people forget
Like, oh,
how big of a hit Captain Marvel was, the first one.
it made
It made
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 billion, Jake.
And this was the prime of
Buried
that's why I think
Alita.
superhero fatigue is a real thing, because that movie made so much. Aquaman 1 made so much. And I think those might be the
Aquaman 2
two
will make $1
biggest,
billion.
Yeah.
I think these may be the two biggest drop-offs from first movie to second movie that we've ever seen. With,
Yeah.
Also, I think it's a marketing thing for the Marvels. It should have been called Captain Marvel, semicolon, the Marvels. Then people would, because I don't think everyone realized that it's a Captain Marvel sequel.
No, that
And
wasn't.
No.
if you
yeah,
use
I
the
don't know.
branding of your $1 billion hit movie, that would be a little smarter. And also, I want to say the Marvels felt like the third movie in a series where there's like a whole second Captain Marvel movie that is just lost that no one saw, because it
Mike,
just feels
there
like,
are flashbacks in that film to a very interesting Captain Marvel 2 that occur for 2 minutes that you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what was all that? And they're like, but we don't
Whoa.
talk about that. And you're like,
we
interesting.
missed this whole thing where
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's going around on her spaceship like saving
Yeah.
planets and stuff.
Yeah.
That could have been a good
It's like,
movie
show
by
me
itself.
that shit. That's great.
Yeah, that actually seems get Rocket Raccoon for one scene. Hey, you got to go over
Oh.
here, Captain Marvel. Okay,
Oh.
You know, like
I can't
good.
call you because, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
there's
no, that'd be
interesting-
great. He's on a view screen. Yeah, I want to see her
There's
running
interesting
around
like
space.
lore and concepts that are introduced in the Marvels, but it almost seems like I said, the culmination of a 3 series of movies or something that we just
Well,
missed
it's
the middle
fascinating.
movie.
To what you said about it feeling so inconsequential, because Jacob, I would argue it's the most interested in the Marvel lore of any of the movies I've seen in a very long time. It's like, here's the specific reason we use these jump networks that you saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy
Right.
movies. And I'm like, what?
It gets
Why are
very
you
into the Kree
explaining
and the
this?
Skrulls and all that
Yes.
stuff. So if you like the cosmic side
Wild.
of Marvel, it does do a lot with
Yeah.
that. But again, the Kree just aren't that interesting. Like,
No.
Zawe Ashton, I'm sorry, is like
No.
one of the worst
God bless her.
villains that I've seen in MCU. She just has nothing
None of your
interesting
husband's
about
charisma rubbed off on you. Like, how is that possible? You go to
Yeah.
bed at night and he's not saying like, well, this is how you make a Marvel movie. I've been in 14 years worth of them.
She
Mhm.
uses the same weapon that Ronan the Accuser used, the ultimate weapon. And
The ultimate weapon.
that's what it's called, right? The ultimate
I
weapon.
don't
Oh my
know.
gosh.
That hammer thing.
Do they dance to win?
The universal weapon. I'm sorry.
should have,
I think
yeah.
that's what it's
The
called.
universal
Universal.
weapon, right?
Yeah, the ultimate weapon. That's like
yeah.
a Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, dude.
Right. But no, I mean, it was fine. I don't know.
But not to say that again, we're pitching that. That's all just the counterbalance of it's very interesting these two properties came out at the same time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mike wasn't going to go see the Marvels, so we weren't going to do a full episode on it, but we wanted
Yeah.
to talk about and use this episode to really do a state of the MCU, which really seems to be in a like red alert crisis zone where like every
Yes.
week I see these headlines that are like, boo, boo, boo. You know, this person has dropped out of like this thing,
Yep.
like things are like not going well. And you're like,
Well,
oh boy.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also don't like how they knew this was going to be a bomb leading up to it, and they really threw the director.
Oh,
talking
Nia
about the Marvels,
DaCosta
Nia DaCosta
from
under
our
the bus.
Candyman episode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jacob, I gotta agree with you. I am really not appreciating how every article that comes out from the Hollywood
Yeah.
Reporter is like,
Oh,
can
the
you
trades are
believe
helping Disney
Nia
with it, too,
DaCosta is like the reason the Marvels failed? You're
Oh
like, no,
my
she's
God.
not.
And she really tried to distance herself beforehand because she knew that was happening. But it's like she was like, "Yeah, Kevin Feige is kind of really the director of all these movies." But yeah, they're really being like throwing her under bus, and it sucks because she is like the first Black woman to direct a MCU movie, of course, and for it to be like the biggest bomb ever kind of sucks. But it's totally not on her, I don't think at all. Like I think
No.
she's a good director.
That sucks.
Yeah, but I think just the financial state they're in. And here's the thing with this summer, what we learned is don't give every movie a budget of $300 million.
Mhm.
Like, look at that, the Songbirds and Snakes that you just saw, Colin, right?
Yeah.
Hunger Games prequel.
I
Mhm.
still can't get over The Killer. I mean,
The Killer,
that's
yeah.
insane to me.
$75 million.
$175 million.
But Hunger
I just
Games-
can't. Yeah.
budget of
Yeah.
100 million, and it made 100 million in its first weekend.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like
Yeah.
go smaller budget.
Yeah.
These movies
Yeah.
don't need to be 300 million. 100
And-
million for that movie is fine, and it's going to make more than it, any of these big box
But
office
you
movies.
see the trades, Jacob, being like, it didn't make as much as Mockingjay Part 2, the last Hunger Games. Isn't that a bad sign? And everybody's trying to counterbalance it with the data of, no, cost input versus return is like fantastic on this thing.
Yeah,
So
the budget. And it's not like you can't make these Marvel movies for like 100 million. Like, I don't know why they're spending so much money.
Like if they
on
took
these,
$100 million and did something sort of in the style of, not the rating, but in the style of The Boys, like shoot it more grounded, right? Like do something for like 100 million. Yeah, you could do that, and
yeah,
make a ton of money.
Well, that's
What
what Blade
gets
should
me
be,
is-
right? All this stuff about Blade, where they can't figure out how to make a
that's
Blade
insane.
movie. It's like, what?
But to keep it to the Loki, you get these Benson and Moorheads, and you're like, great, we'll get you on. I almost called it Gods of Egypt. We'll get you on Moon Knight. We'll get you on Moon Knight. We'll get you on Loki, where they are specifically grabbing those people because it's like, what did they do? They were indie directors who broke out on films that cost maybe $10 million, maybe 10 million, like 5 to 10. And you go, oh, so you're going to let them do their thing, like how they totally utilized and figured that out. And it's like, no, we're going to suck them into our machine, which is broken, and have them drown in it. And you're like, oh, well, that's not working. You realize that's not working, right?
Yeah, that's been their MO for a while. Like Nia DaCosta, her first movie, Little Woods, was an indie movie, and then she did Candyman.
The two people who did the first Captain Marvel,
Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck.
Thank you. Yes.
They did It's Kind of a Funny Story and some other indie movies.
Even Edgar Wright, who was smart enough to walk out on Ant-Man 1, famously.
Yes, I see that you will drown me. No.
I will not.
The best MCU directors, or the ones that work best in that formula, are the ones that are just, they don't really have their own style. They're kind of just workman-like. And I'm talking about like the Spider-Man guy.
Yes.
The Ant-Man
John
guy,
Watts.
Peyton Reed.
Peyton Reed, the Russo brothers. I mean, probably the most, they're going to go down as directing the most successful movie of all time. And you look at them and you go, so what's a Russo brothers style? Like what did they put in the Gray Man? Yeah. And you just like, no, they're the most boring human beings to ever exist. And they make bad movies.
You can't have creativity and work in that system, I guess.
No, you can't.
Squeeze it out.
Yeah, that's why Edgar Wright kind of bounced off. Sam Raimi, it's like, I don't even know why they got Sam Raimi.
He tried. That was weird. He tried. I don't understand any of what that was.
No. But you see the little flares, the little flashes of him in that movie, but ultimately it's like,
Yeah. But then, what Wanda didn't learn was not to be selfish. You can't have your children anymore. I'm sorry. Just deal with it.
That's right.
Accept it. See, she didn't learn what Loki needed to learn, so...
She wanted to go to another timeline, if you guys remember. She should have just gotten a Tempad. The Darkhold blew her brains out.
That's true. There was technology to just go to another one.
Tempad, girl. Yeah, you're fine.
I think
go to a universe where their mom died.
Like, let's kill her off. I'm sure Elizabeth Olsen was like, I'm done with these movies.
Get me out of here.
Kill me off.
We're going.
And now there's the reports that, they want to bring back Robert Downey Jr. And they want to bring back Scarlett Johansson. It's like, no, that's not what you should be doing.
And Chris Evans. And all these people have not found success. So let me wrap up real quick, because here's what I want to say.
Union.
Well, I'm
That's
done
what
with
we're calling
that.
this segment now.
Here's my final thoughts on Loki is what I want to say. Because Jacob, you called out that Chicago episode earlier. Here's what I want to see for success getting outside of the MCU going forward for my boy Tom Hiddleston. Now, I want to talk about the James Bond franchise for a second and give you guys my opinion on it. Because everybody right now is like, what are we going to do about James Bond? We got to reboot it. Is it going to be grounded again? Are we going to make it an interconnected universe like Daniel Craig? All that was him. That worked. It was perfect. You want my opinion on it? James Bond going forward should be 5 people are James Bond at once. There's an anthology movie. The next year, another movie comes out that's like set in like the 60s, and it's like a straightforward, like classic throwback. There's a TV version of James Bond on Amazon Prime that's like the 007 training years. That's, like him as a freshman at Kill School. Like, I'm learning how to kill people or whatever. Like all that dumb shit.
You got young
Q,
Q,
much James Bond
gadgets.
There might be, but if you do it right and you don't MCU it, which is obviously what I'm pitching is to just keep building and building it. But there's all this worry that people are like, well, all these actors are too old. Idris Elba, he never got a chance. All these people never got a chance. This would be a way to do it. Idris Elba can just do one James Bond movie. And here's my real pitch. That Chicago episode, Jacob, I think more than The Night Manager, which everybody points to for Tom Hiddleston to be like, well, Tom Hiddleston should have been James Bond. Look at this John le Carre spy adaptation TV show he did where he's like wearing a suit and killing people. No, dude, that Chicago episode where he is tailored to the nines, all running. It's all, he's saying things like, Victor, you have to stop because without you, the science, you know, he's doing like these big, like, you know, like you would do to like the bad guy. He's like leaping onto like carousels and like running around and stuff.
Right.
Tom Hiddleston needs to be James Bond. That's the last thing I want to say from Loki. He needs to be James Bond.
So basically you want,
I like it.
You want them to take like a Batman approach with what they're doing with Batman now, where you have the Robert Pattinson, and you have the DCU Batman that's going to be different.
Yes.
And I don't think they need to be connected for sure, because James Bond has always been like, they just replace the actor. They never talk about it. Judi Dench was Pierce Brosnan in Pierce Brosnan movie, then she was in Daniel Craig movie. It doesn't matter. But I think for James Bond, they just need to, if they do that route and they have multiple ones, the main one should be a young up and coming actor who's not a big star yet. That's what they've always done. Daniel Craig was not really a big star.
I don't think there should be a main James Bond. I like, if I'm piggybacking off Colin, it's just we do them with different actors and it's kind of a fun what if every time. I think that's neat.
Because the name they're throwing out, Jacob, isn't an unknown. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson, Craven, of course. Another superhero movie that I know we're all excited about.
I can kind of see that, though. His role in that
Train
movie. The Train movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with Brad
Train
Pitt.
Movie. Yeah. Thomas. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he had a role
Thomas
in that
the Tank Engine. I love that Train movie.
Yeah. I guess I could see that. But no, it should be someone who's not a huge star yet.
Yes. It should make him. Being James Bond should put this person on the map.
That's
and
true.
it's not going to be that. They're going to take the safe choice and be like, we looked at the figures and it's Jean Rene Page from Bridgerton. And you're like, that's cool. It'll, you know, if it was the first like black James Bond, but it's going to suck.
But I think if they do a bunch of different versions, they should have an older James Bond that's Idris Elba. And I think that would be great.
Yes. Yes. It should be called 007's Last Mission. And it should be Idris Elba is like a 54. Well,
still saves the day.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, he saves the day, but then he sacrifices himself and dies.
This is a great backdoor James Bond pitch episode. But like, really, that's what they should do. Like, because it's stale. I don't want to see the same spy guy 10 more times. Just have them different every time. You can have crazy titles, you know?
Where you've had these, you've had the Kingsman, you've had, you know, Henry Cavill.
Austin Powers. Whatever that blockhead piece of shit's about to be, Argyle or whatever that thing is.
I saw a trailer for that. It is not what I was expecting.
Boy,
it's about
it is not. It's Romancing the Stone. I thought this was like a real movie.
Dua Lipa is in it. I don't know what's going on. I do like her. Anyways,
Loki.
Tom Hiddleston could be one of them. Geez, that got off the rails. But he's the master of stories now, and James Bond has the stories that he's the master of.
A master of stories.
While we're getting off track a little bit, just to talk about one other thing in the MCU, I did want to mention the Blade movie that they're having trouble making, which seems like the simplest thing in the world. Make it for $100 million or under. Make it rated R. Make Blade the main character. Kind of obvious, it would seem like, but
well, hey, Kevin Feige, I know you're having trouble making this thing. I don't know if you know this. They made 3 Blade movies. It is possible.
Just have him kill some vampires in a rave. Like it's not that
promise
hard.
You.
They need to do that scene.
You that's what we want.
That is what we want.
I was reading these reports where he's like, in one version of the script, he's the 4th lead, and it's like, what are you doing? You have Mahershala Ali, Oscar-winning
put him in a trench coat
with
a sword.
Yeah,
he
almost left the project because of all the script troubles they've been having. It's like you almost lost him. Like you better make a fucking Blade movie and make it rated R. If it's low enough budget, it'll make enough money because people want to see that.
Do you know what John Wick is? These movies were very popular. Like
John
it's
Wick
so
with
easy.
Vampires.
Yes, like if anybody's coming in and pitching anything else, you should be like, "That's the door. Get out of here." The pitches we're accepting are John Wick plus
with
vampires.
And now they're doing, you know, Deadpool 3 first rated R MCU movie, I guess. They're opening the door for rated R.
Yes, huge jacked man will be reprising his role as the Waffle Rain.
Yeah, and then now they're pitching Daniel Radcliffe, but he seems to have no interest to be new Wolverine if they do that.
To be oh really?
That's wild. Well, he's
like
small.
jacked.
That's interesting. Yeah,
He's short, but he's
He needs to
jacked.
be a short king. Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to be
oh,
a short, jacked king.
absolutely, he does.
But anyway, I hope
Just some MCU spitball in here, but
yeah, the state of the MC universe. Yeah, we're out here.
Yeah.
But hopefully Deadpool 3 is good. That's the only thing I am excited for to get back to the circle. Besides Loki,
I'm
season
not
2,
that
I really
interested.
enjoyed. I'm intrigued and I will go watch it. I'm already
I think
going
it's
to
going
pay
to be
for it.
it's going to be too meme worthy where they're just really buying into the meme of it all of like, oh, we've got Hugh Jackman, he's wearing the costume, this is what you nerds wanted. It's like, I guess
that's
sure.
what the John Krasinski was. It might just be that for an hour with the word fuck.
Well, from the set stuff, my first impression of what I fear is, because everybody was worried and Jacob saying that it's R, that was the big fear. Like, people are like, it's going to be PG-13, it's going to be watered down. They're not going to let him make fun of Disney. I think the angle they're taking is they're not going to let him make fun of Disney. They can only make fun of the Fox stuff. And to me, it's like, that is so punching down and just like ridiculous.
They need to be able to make fun of themselves.
Yeah.
And also, each one of those Deadpool movies has had a different director. And the director of this one is Sean Levy, who I'm not a fan of at all.
Yeah. No, you love that Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, but what's that one on Netflix where it's
Project?
Like, yes, thank you.
I love making shitty movies with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes,
so.
I believe you called him the Workman in one of our other episodes. You said him and the Venom. What's the Venom guy's name?
Oh,
geez.
I don't even remember.
But yeah.
Ruben Fleischer. I remember you saying those two guys in particular. You were like, these two guys, they have nothing to bring to anything.
And so he just knew Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. His sort of comedy, like in Free Guy and stuff, it's like, that's not what I want from Deadpool. Like, I thought Deadpool 2 was great. Like, I liked the John Wick guy.
I don't like any of the Deadpool movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Breaking.
But I don't have a lot of optimism about this one. Mainly
I own them both on Blu-ray.
Huh. Interesting.
Don't know why.
But yeah, Sean Levy sucks. Hopefully it's good, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, because everything pretty much has been mid, but what hasn't been mid, it's not Tom Hiddleston, it's Tom Hiddleston, and he is doing the dang thing in Loki season 2, which we very much enjoyed. Yeah.
It's Tom Hiddleston, because he's him.
Him.
He is him, baby. Let him have his flowers right now. I am so happy, partly, that the strike has wrapped up, that he gets to go around and be like, can you believe I'm done with this thing? Like, what a hoot and what a time I had. So, God bless, man. Good for him right now.
And of all the OG characters, I mean, how many are still going? It's only Thor now, I guess, because they're making a Thor 5. So
no, and when Black Widow was like bowing out, it's like, we got her movie. We're all like, all right, get out of here, Scarlett Johansson. Like, now everybody's like, Tom, like, you're the only thing keeping this together. And he's like, I know, literally, that's what the show's about. Did you watch it? I'm at the center of all of this.
Right. They just need to send Thor to godhood, and they have a reunion and end it. That's it.
I would like to see that. Yeah.
Do you remember
Thor 5 will be?
But do you remember that Thor: Love and Thunder, the post-credit scene is Natalie Portman going to heaven, where she meets Idris Elba, who's like, "I'm glad you're finally here." Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, is that? I did not remember that. Yeah,
it's so crazy.
Thor the God Butcher.
It's so crazy.
But Thor 5, Taika Waititi is not involved.
Thank God.
Probably for the best. Seems like he stopped caring before Love and Thunder was made. So
imagine if he directed Loki in Loki season 2.
Oh God,
no.
No, I would not probably have liked that. But
Hitler would have been in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got to go back in time. World War II.
The
MCU. Any final thoughts? Anything else?
MCPU, more like.
That's right.
Except for Loki, I didn't try it.
You know, it's there. Yeah. It'll always be there, probably.
All their just like Loki.
Yeah, Star Wars is like Disney
is there
not done
for
great.
all time.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm happy. Here's the thing: you're not supposed to be a Disney adult, is my opinion. You're not supposed to forever be one of these things.
Disney
it is fine that we're all growing past this and being like, you know what a fun time that was in my 20s. I don't need this in my 30s.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. I feel secure in it.
They get into the 10 years on rebooted fucking Avengers. Yeah, maybe I'll watch them and then.
Yeah,
you're totally right, Colin. Because like so many people are like, wait, why am I not as invested in this lore as I was a decade ago. Probably
And
because
it's
you're
just
in your
been
30s. Yeah.
14 years. It's like you are
Yeah.
you are a man now. It's me talking about One Piece, where it's like the brain chemistry I've had has changed so many times since it started. It's like like just let it go. You don't need to quantify it anymore.
You were
Yeah.
19 when it started, you know? Like, come on.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of
Tony's
like
gone. Robert's dead. He's gone.
it's the
actor's
same
gone.
as my relationship to Star Wars right now, where it's like if there's projects I'm interested in, I'll see them and hopefully they're good. And if it's not, then I won't see it or I'll catch it on streaming at some point. And I think that's a totally healthy way to have a relationship to
But
these
every
media
executive on the
properties.
planet right now, Jacob, is like, what do you mean you're not going to be a completionist anymore? Like, what they want is for us to every day go like, another new thing on Disney Plus. Oh my God, I got to watch this and the story and this and this and this.
Mhm.
And we're never going back to that again. There's too much content.
No,
Yeah.
even though I do watch every new Star Wars thing, eventually. But like Ahsoka, I wasn't going to watch that.
might not
I
be
only watched
forever.
it for this podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. I regret that we did that. that was the last thing that Disney Plus burned me on, was that I had to watch Ahsoka.
Yeah, and the Star Wars
Andor
in general
season
has
2
been
will be great.
pretty mid. Hopefully Andor season 2
Yeah.
is good, though. All right.
It's coming. It's coming for
Tony
you guys.
Gilroy.
Yep.
Anyways,
That's
low
all I
key, I think we're at the
Yeah.
end of this podcast, possibly.
I
We're
think so.
The end
End
of
of
time.
time. Nice,
We
nice.
remain normies, and we hope you do too. We hope you're still listening. If you have made it all this way and you're a little alligator, write in. We'd love to hear from you and tell us what you
Mhm.
thought about Loki, how you're feeling about the MCU, where you're at, what your age is. If you were like 6 years old when the Avengers started and you're like, what are you talking about? I love all this stuff. I would love to hear that. I
We're
would
just
love
getting
to hear
warmed up.
what your relationship is to it still. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're, 20, I guess just 20 by now, that would be very interesting to me. And you can write in at normies_like_us to tell us all that. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast as well. Helps us out a ton. Also, check us out on YouTube. Got some videos up there that are killer.
Mm-hmm. Good thing we said
Absolutely.
One Piece and Baldur's Gate this episode. We said both of those things.
That's
One
right.
Piece,
So
Baldur's
keep
Gate.
checking them out.
Mhm.
That's
Love to
right.
see it.
We'll keep hitting our SEO terms.
Yep.
All right.
And
But
stay
otherwise,
tuned
normies.
next week. We have a very special.
Yes.
We have a special episode for
Is it
it.
R-rated?
Let's pitch in. We're returning to our long form series coverage. We're going to kick off. We know it's been a while since we wrapped up our Trek Through the Stars. We then went through our Spooktober and took some time off, but we're back on it. And of course, yo ho ho with a bottle of rum, normies, because we will be starting a trip to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
if
But
you
where's
were,
the rum gone? Why is the rum gone?
why is
Right.
Is
the
the
rum
rum
gone?
gone?
When is the rum gone?
No,
So if
you shouldn't have that rum. Put that rum.
we're
down,
not tired
Jack
of
Sparrow.
Disney properties at all. You know,
No,
Let's do a whole
I'm very
series about a
excited for us
ride.
to dance around talking about Jack Sparrow without talking about the man behind Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Will be a very
Yeah.
interesting attempt. So
Well, if we
tune
can
in
talk
for that,
about
normies.
He Who Remains, I guess we can talk about Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
he who pirates.
He who pirates, he who drinks rum.
Yeah, he who gets his bed shit in. All
He
right,
who swash.
normies. Thanks a lot. We have been your hosts. This is Variant Colin.
This is Mikey.
This is Variant Jacob. I'm just living on the sacred timeline selling jet skis. That's what I've always wanted to
Heck
do.
yeah,
Live in
heck
Cleveland,
yeah.
Ohio.
And I'm blue. I'm like all
You're
blue.
blue.
I'm from
I'm
like
a
a blue
crocodile.
timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like a little creature. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a job.
I'm the same, but my hair is parted slightly different. Yeah. So, not much. But we're all burdened with glorious purpose. Thanks for listening to our glorious podcast, Normies. And we'll
Ooh.
catch you next
Yes.
time.
Hell yeah. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.